stage. Saquon Jones with the Boxing Voice. How you doing today?
Good. How are you, brother?
All right. How does it feel that this is right over the hump now? You know, you get a lot of heat for Errol and for all of the fights you don't make. Are you pumping your chest out for the fights you did get done?
I mean, look, the time to pump out the chest is after the event is done. There's still a lot of work to be done. Okay. I mean, obviously, we're thrilled this came together. Thrilled for the sport of boxing, thrilled for these two young fighters. But you know, the work's not over yet. You know, there's a lot to do, a lot of work to do to make this event as big as it should be, and to give it the shine that it should be. So, you know, still a lot of work to do, still other fights to make.
And one more question: as fight fans, we always get nervous that the fight doesn't happen, and today, Tank not being there. Any way you can assure us that we don't have anything to worry about? Our stomachs were like, what's going on? You know,
I know. I don't know where the narrative is coming from, quite honestly. Look, I've been real confident ever since the guys reached an agreement in principle back in the fall that we would be here. You know, and I know where we're going to be on April 22nd. You know, a little bit of oversleeping and some, punctuality issues with Tank. But that has nothing to do with the fight. You know, tickets on sale tomorrow. Like, these guys, as hard as they fought to make this fight, nothing's getting in their way at this point. You know, this fight is on 100%.
Steven, I remember in a previous interview, and I hope I'm quoting it correctly, but you said that you want to use this fight as somewhat of a social media guinea pig, something like that, to promote the fight. How successful do you think it will be from doing that?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think this, in some ways, this is the first social media promotion. And not that we haven't used social media promotion before, and not that others haven't. But the reality is, these are two guys of the social media generation and two guys with some of the biggest social media reach. So, this is, more about meeting the fans where they are, and their fans in particular where they are, as opposed to, maybe more traditional ways of advertising and marketing a fight. So I think you'll see the marketing and the promotion tailored a little bit more to reach their fans than maybe, some other fights that we may do.
Is that one of the metrics now used in new promotion?
It is. I mean, certainly, look, that's we wouldn't be in business with Jake Paul if not for social media, So it's not important necessarily in itself, but it is an indicator on how passionate people are about you, and how much you can make people care about you. And that's one part of building a fan base and doing business in this sport, is making people care what you're doing.
Last question for you. I have to ask you, man. Spence, Errol, it's really annoying at this point, man, I'm sure. But I believe it was you that said that as long as both of them are still fighting, you're not going to give up or anything like that. So is it true that both guys are kind of negotiating over the phone, or there's kind of BS?
I don't want to get too much into it because, like I've said, I think that a lot of times, too much of the public display of negotiation is actually an obstacle. But look, the negotiations have never really stopped. I mean, they took a pause. There's the Avanesian fight for Crawford. Spence is focusing on another fight before he got hurt. So there's still conversations ongoing. And until, one of the guys says, it's over or I'm done fighting or whatever, I don't think anybody's given up at this point.
I actually want to follow that up. Do you believe that Gervonta versus Ryan can actually kind of push those guys and say, not to necessarily say that they're taking like the limelight, but like, damn, like those guys were on two different networks and two different sides of the street, quote unquote. They made it happen. It's going to be a mega fight. You think that'll kind of push them in the right direction?
I see what you're saying, but I'm not sure that there's really like any of that necessary. I know for a fact that Spence wants this fight very, very badly. And I believe Terence when he says that he wants it very badly as well. So I think really what it is, it's sort of a disconnect on, certain expectations around the business. It's not about, platforms. It's not about, things like, those kind of obstacles. It's about, what is the deal and what are the deal details that work for both sides? And we just haven't been able to all get on the same page. So, look, I think the solution to that is just more time and more hard work. And you keep grinding away and trying to, reach a middle ground where everybody is happy or at least similarly unhappy.
Gotcha. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You know, Spence versus Crawford is obviously the biggest fight in the division, but how real is a Jaron Ennis versus Spence, Jaron Ennis versus Bud? Like, can those fights be made?
Sure. Look, the reality is, you know, Jaron's a guy who will take any opportunity. I mean, I sort of look at him a little bit where Spence was a few years ago when he was having trouble getting his title shot, you know, and he had to go all the way over to England and fight Kell Brook, you know, to get his title shot. So I'm not saying that, you know, Jaron's going to have to go to, you know, foreign country to do it, but, you know, you got to go with whatever opportunity comes up, you know, and Boots is not saying no to anybody. You know, at this point, there's literally nobody in the division that he wouldn't fight on a moment's notice. You know, there's not a fight that he wouldn't take, you know, whatever the opportunity is. So sure, if there's a clear path to making one of those fights, you know, whether it's Spence or Thurman or Crawford or anybody, I think, look, you know, Boots is up there in the top 5, no matter how you sort of rank the division. You know, he's definitely one of the top fighters in the division. He'll get his title shot shortly.
You hear grumblings that Bud wanted to fight Boots and that they reached out. Were those talks ever really tangible?
You know, I saw some stuff about people talking about, like, you know, some discussions with BLK Prime. I wouldn't even characterize that as a discussion. There was a discussion, but the reality is, like, they don't have a deal with Crawford. You know, if Crawford's under contract to BLK Prime, then, you know, then maybe it goes through that. But the reality is, they're trying to put together a fight just like we're trying to put together a fight. So the reality is, it was a very short conversation. They didn't really bring much to the table in terms of helping make the deal. So there really was no point in following up on that. You know, if there's going to be a Boots and a fight between Boots and Crawford, there are easier ways to do it without, you know, going through them.
But that's a fight that you wouldn't say no to.
Oh, absolutely not. And I don't think Crawford would. I'm sure Ennis would. You know, I don't think any of those. I think, look, right now Spence and Crawford are sort of focused on each other. If they had their wishes, they could wait for the magic wand. But I don't think any of the guys in that division are worried about fighting any of the top guys. You know, I know Errol isn't. I know Spence isn't. I know Boots isn't, having talked to all 3 of them. Crawford, I don't know as well, but I believe that he is, you know, anxious to fight whoever he can as well. I don't think he's backing down from anybody either.
Okay. I appreciate you, Steve.
You got it.